Hi guys, I am back with day 6, and first I want to show you this little insert that I'm making. It's probably not going to go on day 6, but I had a hankering to make this using this big foam stamp from, who is it from? It is from Heidi Swapp, and I'm just going to ink that up with some Versamark ink and stamp it on the page and then use some gold embossing powder. And this is exactly how I ended up making my title page to the album. I just stamped it on vellum instead of the paper and embossed it with the gold. So I kind of wanted to show this so that you guys could see how I made that first page. So after I stamp it down, I'm going to then just put that embossing powder on. And this pocket's going to house the letter that my daughter received back from Santa. And I thought it turned out pretty cute. And I'm doing it pretty simple. I'm not doing a whole lot with it, but I wanted to be able to put the letter in a pocket so that you could easily see that it was a letter from Santa and that you could pull it out and read it anytime you like. So once I get this embossing powder back in the jar, I'm going to then heat up that letter. And I love these stamps. I've had these in my stash for, I don't know, 10 years, and I just recently pulled them out to do this December daily, and I think I need to use them more often because they are fantastic. I just love the font, and I think this would look really good too if you stamped it down and then you cut it out, or you could do a lot of things with this. I just really like how these stamps look, and I like the bold outline of them. So they're really, really cool. And like I said, I got them from a scrapbook store many, many, many years ago. I'm sure they're not available anymore, maybe on eBay or something, but they're really cool. So now after I put that S, I thought it looked perfect, just nestled in amongst those stars. And that's my daughter's head. She's looking while I'm doing this. So there's the letter from Santa. I'm just sticking that in that pouch. And I'm putting it there because I wanted to find out kind of how it's going to sit and how the rest of my embellishments are going to look. So I stuck it in there to look. And now I'm going to kind of go through my die cuts and things to try to see what I can do and layer down. So I'm going to add this little Santa head and then another little Santa bingo-like card next to him, and they're both die cuts. And I'm going to kind of play around with them and try to figure out where I want to put them. I put them down here at first, and then I'm going to move them up to the top, but I'm ultimately going to decide that this is where I want to keep them. And I wanted to use this typewriter because I thought it was perfect to go with the letter, but once I put the letter in, I didn't like how it was going to get covered up, and I didn't like how it was kind of heavy on the right hand side. So I ended up just sticking with the Santa and the little bingo card instead. And like I said, here it just gets covered up too much by the letter, and so I decided that I think it looks better in the bottom. And like I really wanted to desperately use that little typewriter because I don't exactly know when I'd use it otherwise. I'm sure I can just stick it down somewhere. It matches the theme, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be about a letter. So I stuck those down with my dot runner adhesive, and now I'm just going to see if I can put this little half circle, but I don't like how his hat blends into the red, so I'm going to decide against that. And I want to add a little bit more to this because I think it's just a little bit too plain. So I'm going to pull out some of my gold washi tape and I'm going to add it along the edge of that pocket. And I'm just going to stick that down and fold it under and just trim off the extra. And you're going to see me doing that in a second. And while I'm doing that, I just want to apologize for the next section of video. It is day 6. However, I was recording it, and while I was recording it, I didn't realize my camera had stopped. So I do miss a chunk of it. I show you the details of what I ended up doing, but I don't get to show all of the process, which kind of bums me out. But I wanted to make sure you guys could at least see what it ended up turning out to be. So you'll see that here in just a little bit after I get done futzing with this pocket. And so I'm just trimming off the extra at an angle so that it tucks in the pocket very nicely and doesn't get stuck up on anything. And then I'm going to stick that letter back in. And I may do something on the back of this. Like I said, this is not really for day 6, but I did it during the time I was making day 6. I'm probably going to put up something on the back of this when I actually insert it in my album. I just haven't decided what that's going to be yet. So there's a close-up of the S, and you can see how it's embossed, and then those little die cuts I just added in the washi tape that I put down. And so now we're moving on to the actual day 6 page. This is going to be the left hand side. It's going to be one 4x6 and two 3x4s. And then the other side, because I didn't have a lot of photos, is just going to be a simple 4x6 that I'm going to punch holes in and add to the right hand side of my page. So here's another one of those little trees that I've stamped out and embossed on vellum, and this is using the red glitter embossing powder. And I'm just using liquid adhesive, and because the liquid adhesive goes over the entire back of the die cut, or the die cut, you really can't see the adhesive. Normally I would run this through my Xyron, but this gold embossing powder, this glitter embossing powder doesn't stick very well, and I was afraid to send it through my Xyron that it was going to cause some problems. So Here's where the video is going to cut off. I'm showing my daughter some of the words and phrases, and it stopped on the camera. So I added this little cheer word here to the top right of my daughter. I added Christmas to the number 6 card, and then for this hot cocoa card, I added the Mrs. Claus chipboard piece, the snowflake, and then I embossed with silver embossing powder that silver heart. And now I'm working on the little 4x6 photo, and you will be able to see the entire process of this. This is going to be very simple. I liked how the lot of green was at the top, but I wanted to add just a little bit of something there. So I'm going to use this December wood veneer, and I'm going to emboss it with silver to match the silver heart that I used on the left-hand side of the page. So I'm just going to smush this down in the Versamark, and then I'm going to cover it with the silver embossing powder and then heat it so that it melts. And I'm just using my tweezers to hold on to the pieces. It just makes it a little easier. And you're going to see me trying to place it down, and I'll use those tweezers. So now here's the silver embossing powder. This is just a detailed Stampenda silver embossing powder that I really like. It melts very nicely and looks very smooth when it's melted, but it still kind of gives like almost a hammered finish, but it's still smooth, if you know what I mean. Some of those other non-detail embossing powders don't seem to look quite as nice, and they look a lot more chunky, and you don't see the detail of like words and things, so I prefer the detailed embossing powder. So now I'm going to just heat that up, and again, like I've said in other videos, it is magic, and I love doing it because it's so much fun to see what it ends up turning out like. So I'm going to heat that up, and then I'm just going to use some dot runner adhesive because I was putting it on the photo. I don't really like to use a liquid adhesive. It just makes it slide around too much on the photo. So I'll use the dot adhesive to adhere that down, and then I'll use my tweezers to help me place it so I kind of get it centered. When I have my fat fingers in the way, it's hard for me to tell if it's in the center or not. So that is what I'm going to do here in a second. Once I get that adhered, I feel like I need something else on the top of it, so I'm going to take a little wood veneer star and emboss it with some of the red glitter embossing powder here in a minute or two. And here I'm just going to place that down. And that's a picture of my kitty cat Casey. She looks so cute sitting under the tree, so I thought I'd snap a few pictures of her. And that is that little heart. I'm just going to stamp that or dab that into the Versamark ink, drop it into the red glitter embossing powder, and heat it up. The other thing about these glitter embossing powder, it's so hard to tell if it's actually melted or not because it's just so glittery already. It doesn't change from like a dull to a shiny appearance. So I always feel like I'm overheating it. And like I said, on that vellum, it just doesn't stick very well. And I think it's because of the flexibility of the vellum. But I don't know. This is the first time I've ever used the glitter type of embossing powder, so I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Or maybe it's just the way it is. I don't know. All I know is I don't like loose glitter, and I thought this is a better alternative so I wouldn't have glitter like everywhere. And it's working okay. It's just, I don't know. It's just different. It's just different than the other kind of embossing powder. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of this using my dot runner again, and I'm going to place it using my little tweezers. And to finish this off, I'm going to add the tab on the right hand side of the photo. It says December Memories, I think. Or no, Remember December? I can't quite remember. We will see in the close-ups. I'm just going to tab that down, and I'm going to end up using another 4x6 photo on the other side, so I'm not going to stick the tab all the way down on both sides. There you go, December documented, that's what it is. So I'm going to show you a couple close-ups here. Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry, I did show you a close-up. Here are the layouts. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you are enjoying this series. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks, bye.